Welcome back to Real Ag Radio. I am your host for the day, Lindsay Smith, and joining me now for today's product spotlight is Chris Turco. He's the Chief Executive Officer of FP Genetics. Welcome here, Chris.
Thank you, Lindsay. Happy to be here.
All right. Okay. Exciting news. I said in the open of today's show, we're halfway through January, gearing up for spring. I'm starting to actually get that growing season itch. And so that, of course, means we're getting ever closer to seeding decisions, to getting some plants in the ground. What are some of the new exciting seed varieties FP Genetics has for this year?
Well, thanks for asking. 2023 is a pretty exciting year for FP. We have a number of new varieties coming to the market. So I guess starting with hard reds, CWRS, one variety we're really excited about is AAC Hockley, and it's out of the Ag Canada program in Swift Current. For those farmers out there that are have been growing, say, a View Field of ours or a Brandon or an Eli that really likes sort of that, almost bulletproof variety, short, strong standing, AAC Hockley is sort of the next step. You take what guys have been growing and you try and improve them just a little bit. So Hockley has phenomenal standability. It is a nice, short, semi-dwarf. It improves on the protein on those old varieties. It's more, similar to a Carberry, which is sort of the high-protein check. Really strong resistance to Fusarium, so it's rated a strong MR, and it's an MR better for all priority 1 diseases. And one of the things I really like about this variety, and where I think it'll fit well for farmers across the prairies, it's really just consistent. It doesn't matter whether it seems to be dry or wet or whatever weather conditions are out there. You're just going to have that consistent high yield variety come through. So that's kind of our flagship variety. That's a new one we're really excited about. The other one we have coming here this year, or another one we have coming, is AAC Hodge VB. So that's a new midge-tolerant variety. That is actually the highest yielding hard red that's ever come through registration. It came through right around 117% of the checks. That is at a Santosh Kumar's program in Brandon. And again, from a disease package, it's an MR or better for all priority 1 diseases. It's an MR for FHP. It's R for all other diseases. Again, you get that midge-tolerant benefit, and again, that high yield. Again, a semi-dwarf. It is nice, strong standing. It's really going to be a pleasure for guys to grow. So guys in that Highway 16 corridor through Saskatchewan, and we see more midge into Alberta, and even the west side of Manitoba, a great fit for those guys. We have a couple regional varieties, and I think, as we dig further and further and trying to really move genetic potential forward at FP, we do a lot more digging into, where we can see some regional differences between varieties. One we have is CDC Silas, which is out of the Crop Development Center, Dr. Pierre Huckle's program. This is really a bit of a yield play kind of for northern Saskatchewan, central northern Alberta, those parkland regions, very high yield potential. Not as strong on the disease side as the previous two I mentioned, but that can certainly be managed. If there's guys out there that are really looking to push yield, this is a variety they can take a look at, and it's a little earlier, and so that's why we kind of push it into that parkland area. Another one which has been a bit of a dark horse for us is SY Manus, which is out of the Syngenta program, and again, that's another hard red. And this is really geared to Manitoba. When we brought this one on, we certainly saw the opportunity in Manitoba with the numbers through registration. But it's performed well beyond expectations. It's actually been at the highest yielding hard red in Manitoba's McVet trials for the past 3 years. And not a lot of seed supply on that one this year, and it's probably pretty close to sold out, but it's a really exciting variety. We see the yield in it, and a nice, short, strong standing variety, and a little bit earlier. So this one really is sort of exceeding our expectations for growers out in Manitoba. So we have 4 new hard reds this year, Hockley and Hodge, which kind of fit right across the prairies, and then Silas and Manus, which are a little more regional, but kind of give growers an opportunity to kind of grab onto something a little higher yielding that they can really push hard.
So you've hit on you've hit on a couple things here. I just want to quickly circle back to with the priority diseases. You've brought in a few of these key traits of, straw strength. We've got the varietal blend as well. How does FP Genetics sort of evaluate new varieties? How do you make that call of which ones you choose to bring on?
We do a lot of digging into data. So when we look at Western Canada, while we dig through 3 provinces, we really look at kind of 5 agroclimatic zones and look at the data as a whole, and then really drill down into those 5 areas to see where things fit, how they fit, and are they better than what growers are growing today. We're not committed to having, a whole pile of varieties out there. I think that makes the market confusing for farmers. We really want to drill in and find ones that are better than what they're growing today, and every one of these check that box. And so it's not just about the agronomy or yield potential. Yield is kind of a table stakes. Things we also dig into is even, because seed is sort of the access to a market, it's really what are the market's asking for. So if we find something in the quality side of it that we think end users will be quite interested in, those kinds of things, we absolutely dig into it and sort of look upstream and downstream and say, is this thing bringing something new, better, that growers can really kind of hold on to and ride. So.
Mm-hmm. Now, and of course, we're choosing certified seed here. As you did mention, you've got to make sure you've got the supply there. So I would encourage everyone to call early and get these things booked in. But what are some of the advantages of using certified seed that farmers can come to expect?
The obvious answer is quality. Seed growers in Western Canada are phenomenal at what they do. So making sure a crop gets off to a good start is critical. But I think it gets bigger than that. These new varieties, as we pick through them, they really do offer high yield and consistency in yield. And as long as you maintain that purity as a farmer, you're going to get that. As you move away from that certified level, you start to lose some of the benefit of those genetics. And the other side of it, with regards to variety purity, is you can create a lot of problems in the market. If you look right now, I think most people have heard by now that the malt industry is having some struggles this year. With variety purity. And interestingly enough, for the last 2 years, certified seed usage in the malt industry has been down. And so there's a lot more bin-run, farm-safe seed out there. And I don't think it's by coincidence that the industry is starting to see a bit of a variety purity issue. So just making sure that farmers have the quality they need to get the crop off to a great start. And that purity to get the genetic benefit that they're after, and B, to make sure that they're giving their end users the products they want. So.
Okay, so that's on the wheat side. What does FP Genetics have on offer on the barley side?
We also have 2 new barleys this year. One is AB Hague out of the Field Crop Development Center in Alberta. This is a high-yielding feed barley, very similar to Austenson, but really the claim to fame on this variety is more of a forage and feed, very high dry matter production, average daily gain. It was the highest of the varieties in the registration trials. And also we've been told they're seeing higher milk production off of that variety. So a really solid feed barley, and particularly if somebody is looking for forage and dry matter production. And the other one we have is Torbellino out of the Syngenta program. And that is a short, strong-standing, very plump, high-yielding barley. It's one of those barleys that a farmer can throw a lot of inputs at and get a return out of it in the end.
All right. Okay. Well, Chris, thanks so much for joining me on the show today.
Thank you very much.